Yeah.
Now, I want you to tell me because I don't know truly. Do you feel like you was had the same mindset then as you do now?
Um, I mean, depends on how you look at it. So, I mean, in a way, yes and no. But what I would say, for the most part, definitely, because I've always been that person that's always just been locked in with the grind. So around that time, it was more basketball focused instead of entrepreneurship focused. But it was the same drive, it was the same ambition towards it. So any field that I go into, I'm gonna have that same brutal determination and unmatched consistency. So I'd say yes, 100%. Definitely now that I'm older, I can see that if I don't really lock in now, is really gonna haunt me in the future. So it is
Gotcha.
more of a pressure now. It's more pressure now than it was then, but I definitely understand that. So that's why I'm just continuing to do what I need to do day in and day out.
So you basically been had the mindset, it just directed in a different place now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I almost forgot you was hooping back then, bro. I'm not gonna lie, cause
Yeah. It was short lived for a little minute, but it was popping for however long
yeah,
it was.
that's how I
Yeah.
feel. Cause I was hooping like a madman back then. I used to be hooping every day. Nowadays, I pop out every once in a while casually, but I don't really take it too serious.
Yeah, I
That's
feel you on that.
that's crazy, bro. You just unlocked a memory for me. But yeah, what do you think was the inspiration behind that? What do you think gave you that push to want to really lock in on what on your future?
Honestly, I've always liked being different from everybody else. Like I wasn't the one that just stay in the same circle as everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So looking at other people is like, okay, if they did this, they're all going on the same exact. They're choosing the same path, right? And there's many different paths to choose, but why choose the one that everyone else is going and it's not the life that I want to live? You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So the older you get, the more you start to realize what you really want out of life. You start to figure out more of your purpose. And so as that was going on, I was like, okay, if I want to live this life that I want to live, I'm gonna have to do something that not everybody else is doing. I'm gonna have to put my focus somewhere else and really lock in and put my energy right there instead of comparing it. So instead of just in general just saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do what all of my friends are doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sure, it can be fun, but it's gonna be short lived because we're not all gonna be young forever.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you get those experiences where, like for me, whenever I do something like relax, watch some TV, watch some movie, it feels nice. Like I'm not mad at it, but I think the feeling of laying down in my bed at night and reflecting and saying, wow, I really did nothing progressive today. That hurts way more than if I just would have chose to be disciplined earlier in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I'm really glad you bring it up because one thing I would say about myself is like a lot of times I do feel like I haven't really done anything productive. Particularly, even if I have, I feel like I just feel like I haven't done enough. So a lot of times when I'm in a certain situation, I always think to myself, what is the most productive thing that I could do right now in this current moment? So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just I'm constantly learning and reevaluating myself. So that's one. There's just something about me that I like to. I'm just a very active person. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
can't just sit down just do nothing for too long because you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
A part of me like there's more to do. There's more that I can conquer. But you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. Like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
There's definitely more to do and more things that you can accomplish, and that starts by not being lazy.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like you have high expectations for what you do, pretty much.
100%, you gotta have high expectations because anyone that didn't have high expectations, well, they didn't really get anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a 5 cent dream, well, you're only gonna have that 5 cent dream. But if you have $1 million dream, well, you kind of have to have these higher expectations for yourself to be able to get there, right? Let's
Yeah.
say your dream is to maybe one day work a job that pays 80,000 a year. That's good money for most people, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then if you say, okay, you know what, I want to be a millionaire, you have to take different steps in order to get there. And yeah, it's going to be a different and a harder route. But guess what? You don't know what you're really capable of until you actually do it.
Yeah.
So imagine just limiting yourself to this cage of, I'm going to stay right here, I'm going to make this amount of money, and that's just going to be my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So looking back at it, I don't want to really regret anything because, well, you're always going to regret something. But what I would say is, if I know I can do something now, and I'm not doing anything later on in the future, is definitely gonna haunt me because because I'm gonna wish I wanted to do all these different things. I'm gonna wish that I could have put my energy here. You know what I'm saying? Try to make this work. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people they end up giving up. They'll start something, and just give up. And you know what I'm saying? They just feel like, okay, maybe that's not for you, maybe that's not for them. Which in some cases that may be true.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, anyone that's ever really truly wanted something, they've got it. Because not only were they persistent, but they were consistently at it every single day. So if you start something, you might as well put your best foot in to try and finish it.
Right. People don't talk about consistency enough, bro. On the internet, they definitely do, but people around me, I think they kind of try to let go of the cliche information, like the information you hear over and over. But I gotta tell them, I'm like, yo, I mean, there's a reason it's said a lot, because that's what's working. And
Yeah.
there was a concept that I stated in a video a while ago that a lot of people don't want to believe that the formula for succeeding is as simple as it is, because they just want to feel sorry for themselves all the time. So if I tell them all you have to do to be successful in the next 5 years is do this, this, and this consistently, they don't want to hear that. They want to believe that it's some crazy scheme that you gotta perform, and like it's hard work. I'm like, no, it's not that complicated.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people they kind of want people to feel pity for them because okay, let's say they just worked a 12-hour shift, and you know what I'm saying, or maybe they just got off their job, you know, they think it's time to unwind, wind down, just chill. No, this is that time that you have off to work. That's not really not necessarily the time to chill. If you have bigger goals and ambitions, that's your time. That's the time that you're gonna use to fund your 5 to 9, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna literally after you get off work, you should be focusing on what can you do to escape the 9 to 5, right? But your job is to help fund it. So that's really what I believe a job is meant for you to do. Your job should be a tool for something you to use for you to be able to fund your dream life. Some people's dream lives is just working that job, but for the people that are always making excuses or how they hate their job, this and that, and they're not doing anything, well, at the end of the day, the only person you could blame is yourself.
That's true. That's true. People don't want to take that accountability, bro. I'm glad you said the job is a tool. I've always looked at it like that for a while, cause I mean I'm sure we've all been at work and been like, man, I want so much more for myself, but you gotta keep the positive mindset. I loved how you said in a video, one of your videos, how you gotta look at the job as just a simple stepping stone to get to the future that you want, and I think that was super real. So that's one of those things I definitely live by. But speaking of tools, I want to ask you what kind of tools you used in your journey and what things have worked and have not worked for you. I'll give you an example, like vision boards, for example, or journaling. What are those tools that you use that have worked or haven't worked?
I would say definitely journaling and writing things down because I feel like if you're writing something down and like for instance like right now I have my notebook. Every day I try to write something new, like a new idea that I might have, is either a new business plan, new content ideas, things like that.
Right.
If you write something down, the chances of you actually accomplishing it goes up tremendously. So that's what I believe is a lot of how do I say it? It's been I want to say more of a motivator to my success, but it's definitely helped me out like mentally and like okay, if I can see it and I could believe it, I could dream it and I can achieve it. So that's 100% writing down your goals is very important and also executing them. Like if you could have something written down like okay, yeah, maybe I have a poster of my dream car and I just
Mm-hmm.
wake up and look at it. That's is that something that you truly want, or is it something that you just like to have? You know what I'm saying? Like you're not really putting any effort to actually get there one day. So what I like to say is the journey isn't a sprint; it's a marathon. And at the end of the day, when it's your time, it's your time. So a lot of people just don't stay consistent enough to actually get to that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do that, bro. They'll put that post up there and they'll stare at it, but it's like you said, you got to put in the work at the end of the day. Like I tell people all the time, anybody who asks me for advice, I ask them, I say, okay, what do you want? They'll name something. Let's just say that car, that fancy car. I tell them, I say, look, do you want it or do you just want to have it? You know what I mean? Some people just want to have it. They don't really want it, because anything that you want, you're gonna find a way to get it. Most people just want to have it. You know what I mean?
100%. Like For instance, I remember someone was telling me the other day, like, a lot of people say that they can't do something or like they can't have something and they just kind of make excuses for themselves. But this might be a little off topic, but have you ever seen a crackhead that hasn't had money to buy their drugs?
Right, right. Yeah, I was talking about this the other day. Yeah.
At the end of the day, they still figure out a way to get what they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, they could talk about having it, but hey, if if you're not gonna do anything to get it, well, you're just stuck in your own demise.
It's useless. Yeah, I mean, it's completely useless.
Mm.
But something I find really interesting is that like we hear the same things over and over when it comes to self improvement, and people could call it repetitive. But then it's like you gotta realize when you open your eyes that it's repetitive because this is the formula. It's been like this
Yeah,
for time and time again. People don't want to understand that there doesn't have to be a million different ways to do things. Sometimes there's a formula that you gotta follow. Now, what career you choose, you know, that's on you and whatever. Real quick though, let's talk friendships, right? We've had like mutual friends and stuff in the past or even
yeah.
currently. Do you ever struggle with this to where somebody says something or complains about their problems, maybe a friend of yours or somebody just around you, and it's like you have to fight with yourself on whether you want to give them a real true answer, you know, based on what you truly believe or what they want to hear. Because sometimes people don't want to hear that. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. They just want you to feel sorry for them. How do you handle that?
Honestly, so one thing about my character is I'm always gonna tell you the truth, just straight up and exactly how I'm gonna tell you how it is,
Right.
exactly how it's meant to be, right? And I have a lot of friends that do complain about certain things, and me being that friend that's always gonna try to, I'm saying, give my best piece of advice, give my best piece of information that I could do to help you. And a lot of times I find that I do give pretty good advice to people and actually advice that actually works to help them in their situation. But then again, it's like they do nothing with the information. Like you could give someone the
Oh yeah.
exact blueprint you could give a horse water. It's up to the horse if they want to drink it or not. You know what I'm saying? So like you give them exactly what they want, exactly what they need, but it's up to them. You can't at the end of the day you can't help someone that doesn't truly want to be helped. They can only talk about it, right?
Right. That's facts, bro. They do not want to take that advice sometimes.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it's simple to me because whenever people give me advice, I rarely ever ask for advice. I'm kind of one of those people that like to just go at things and find out the hard way. But if there's a area in my life where I feel like I do need advice, I accept it with open arms. I mean, tell me what you think is best, you know?
100%. Information is key. A lot of people they I think they misinterpret that. Like they feel like there's so much that they need to know, or like they're just waiting for this right piece of information to just fall in their lap and just change everything. But at the end of the day, most things are really just simple. You just have to follow it.
Mm.